Good to have all of you with us on this edition of The Beat. This is our season finale, and I'm Will Johnson coming to you from the south end zone of Kyle Field and 12th Man Studios. Let's begin with baseball. What a season they're having, and they were back in conference play this weekend. The Aggies were on Rocky Top at Tennessee. It's the final month of the regular season. The Aggies pushing towards a national seed in the NCAA tournament. 3 contests against the Volunteers. Friday, back and forth. The Vols, hoping just to make the SEC tournament, fire away. They've got an answer for everything A&M is doing until the 9th. Blake Alleman starts the top half with a double. He comes home on a single by Mitchell Now. It proved to be the winner, 6-5. Ags take the opener. Saturday, Ryan Hendricks to start and throws 6 innings, only allowing a run. He turns it over to Matt Kent, who tosses the final 3 frames in shutout fashion. 6 of Kent's 9 outs were Ks. Mitchell Now, again the big hit in the 5th, bases loaded, a double that clears them. 3 driven in. Aggies win 6-1. Tennessee, pesky again on Sunday. They won't go away, but Matt Kent nails it down once more. He goes the final 2 innings scoreless. The lefty notches his 2nd save in as many days. A&M gets the finale 8-7. They sweep the series in the Smokies. Mitchell Now in the set against Tennessee and a Tuesday home game against Texas State. Combined to go 8 for 13 with 8 RBIs. On Monday, he was named the SEC's Player of the Week on the heels of that performance. 2 regular season series left. The Aggies, now ranked number 2 in the country again, are 41-7 overall and tied with LSU for the top spot in the Western Division of the SEC. The Beat is presented by AT&T, building you a better network. Texas A&M baseball coming off that weekend sweep against the Tennessee Volunteers. Now they are at home starting this Friday, coming up against the South Carolina Gamecocks. It's a 3-game set, and you can see all of them on SEC Network Plus, courtesy of 12th Man Productions. And our analyst on those broadcasts, as he has been all season, is the winningest head coach in A&M baseball history, and that is Mark Johnson. And, Coach, thanks for joining us today.
No, it's good to be here. I'm excited. It's stretch run,
yeah.
and every morning I get up and I start looking in the computers and the papers and all of the stuff you got, and all over the country, people are making runs, and there's going to be some more surprises ahead, and then when you get the national seed set up and all the other things that are not just the championships. That play in, it's interesting.
Yeah, and you think about what the Aggies are coming off of, that series against Tennessee. Most people might look at it and say, well, the Aggies swept them. Tennessee's low in the standings. That's what should have happened. But maybe the surprise is how much fight the Volunteers showed against the Aggies.
That surprised me the most. When we went out and punched right away on Friday night, and then they made a comeback, and then we went ahead and sealed it. Sometimes the team will fall apart. That team is well coached. They've got good talent, and it's just one of those years where things don't fall together as well. They're going to be some more. They've got a chance to win some ball games. Tennessee, that appeared on paper, this team's not very good. You still got to go out and win. So, yeah. But they did it.
Pitching, it's almost been a little mix and match lately because some guys have struggled, but some guys still giving you some good innings. Tennessee knocked the ball around pretty good over the weekend, except for against one guy. Matt Kent has gone to the bullpen and really solidified a pitching staff in that role.
He's a valuable guy. You know, he was valuable as a starter because he would get you linked in the ball games. He didn't have the magic where he could throw shutouts all the time, and not as believable that he'll throw a shutout as a Grayson Long or some of the other pitchers, but he keeps you in ball games, and of course he's been in a reliever role, he's been in a closer role before. He just takes the ball, and he's smart, he knows what he wants to do, he can establish pitches immediately. Some guys it takes 2 or 3 innings, but my gosh, what a job he did against Tennessee when guys were having some problems, you know, for whatever reason. You know, we had a little bit of a slump there. I say slump compared to some 0 ERAs, you know, so now we've got some ERAs working. But Matt's just, he's a neat kid to root for, too, because he works so hard at it, but he's doing well.
That's the thing. sometimes you say A&M could be in a slump or struggling, and the reason is because you compare it to what they did earlier in the year, where nothing went wrong, but the Aggies still have managed to get to a 41-7 record. And I want to ask you about a guy like Nick Banks. His average was well over 400 for most of the season. Still very good, right around the 370s, but he's not what he once was. You look at it as there's concern about Nick Banks, or do you say he's Nick Banks and he'll get it back?
Yeah, I think that's what the latter is what you say. I think it's very, very hard. There's pressure. When you're hitting over 400, there's pressure to get multiple hit games every time you play because you want to keep, because those guys they're athletes. They like competition and they like the challenge, and even though they know it's not drastically important to hit over 400, it's still out there and it's still on the paper. You say, well, yeah, I get a couple hits today, I'll get a little ease, I'll be able to hit, I'll be hitting 415, and you know, and he's not a selfish player at all. Not at all. It's so far away from him, but it's still you press a little bit forward. But you know, when you go into a little bit of not a slump, but you go into a little bit where balls aren't falling and you're just not getting solid hits, and of course everybody's after you. The opponent, they have you circled when you roll in, and so you don't get the pitches to hit that the guy does in the 8th and 9th hole. So I don't think there's any. He's too much of a competitor, and he's got an even-keeled mind, and he'll be fine. And but yeah, to drop down to 376 and people are worried, you say, boy, that's a pretty good situation to be in.
Again, it's kind of, you compare what he once was doing. That's why you might use the term struggle, but really it has been a good season for him overall. This weekend, 3 games against South Carolina here at Bluebell Park, and the Gamecocks are in a must-win situation. It's dire for them now if they want to make the NCAA tournament, and that almost speaks to a lot of danger for the Aggies coming into this series.
Yeah, it's a wounded animal. You know, it's one of those things. Don't go up and pet it too much because he may bite you and he may come to life. And so, no, there's a lot of teams right now that the pressure's on. They've got to win, and we're playing one of them, and they're a legitimate team.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
they have a history, and so this isn't something where all of a sudden they foolishly have a chance to get into a tournament. But they'll be ready to play, and Aggies will get their best shot. And you know, interesting enough, you look at the Aggies, been ranked #1 for a long time. They're 41-7. They're leading the nation at a lot of things, and have the attention of everybody. That's pressure. That puts some pressure. Every time you show up to play, the other team can hardly wait to take a shot at you.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks for the time here today, Coach. See you on Friday night.
Look forward to it.
All right, Mark Johnson right here on The Beat. Back with more in just a moment. This segment of The Beat is brought to you by Bud Light, the perfect beer when you're up for whatever. Welcome back. At this very moment, Jo Evans and her Aggie softball team are in Baton Rouge competing in the SEC tournament. They were hoping to head there on a high note. Their regular season finale was this past weekend in College Station. They hosted the Ole Miss Rebels. Friday night, the Aggies got the jump on the Rebels. Already up in the 4th, Erica Russell launched a 2-run homer that put A&M well out in front. It was shortly followed by Callie Lanfear's 2-run shot in the same inning. The offense was more than enough for Rachel Fox in the circle as she threw a complete game. A&M 6, Ole Miss 1 the final to get the weekend underway. Saturday, the Aggies waste no time, scoring 3 in the first. A Selena Massey double drove in a pair to help the inning along. A&M continued to build the lead, and April Ryan homer in the 6th was key. Ole Miss would come back late. The Rebels scored 6 runs in their final 2 at-bats. But their threat was halted when Brittany Clopton threw out a runner at third base to end the game. The call was actually reversed, resulting in an out, and A&M wins Game 2 of the series 8-6. Sunday, looking for a sweep, the Aggies were down 4-0 early. Back they come using the extra base hit. Second inning, Kristen Coyos, a 2-run homer. Third inning, April Ryan, a 2-run homer herself. It ties the game at 4. In the 4th frame, Tori Vidalis, a 2-run double. The Aggies break the tie and take the lead. Vidalis then in the 6th, the 2-run homer. The A&M advantage is 8-4. That would be the final. Vidalis on Monday was named SEC Freshman of the Week. After the game, 4 seniors were honored as Rachel Fox, Sarah Mireles, Lauren Ainsley, and Brittany Clopton all played their final scheduled game in College Station. The Aggies closed the regular season with a 38-17 overall record, and they went 12-12 in the SEC. After the conference tournament in Baton Rouge, the Aggies will await their NCAA tournament assignment. This segment of The Beat is brought to you by Pepsi. Now is what we make it. Grab a Pepsi and some friends and get out there and live it. It's time to live for now. We continue on this season finale edition of The Beat from 12th Man Studios, and we now have on with us our Director of Athletics, Mr. Eric Hyman. And, sir, thanks for joining us. I know it's a busy time of year. We appreciate your time.
Well, the privilege is mine.
When we look back at this season and ahead, really, with what's left with these sporting teams at Texas A&M, it's easy to say that it's been another banner year in Aggie athletics.
I think it's been terrific, and we did a tabulation the other day to find out where we were in relationship to some of the other teams in the SEC as winning tournaments and championships, and we're leading the SEC. We've won 5 championships. The success that Steve Denton had with the men's tennis team, with winning the regular season and winning a tournament. Terrell McCombs with our women's golf team was just lights out and winning the tournament by 12 strokes. And then obviously what G did during the regular season and the tournament as far as our women's soccer team. It's been a banner year, and our teams are competing on a very high level, and we're very proud of them.
Yeah, and baseball is a good spot to pick up on because that team has captured everybody in Aggieland with what they've done thus far. It's a little exciting to talk to you about them because, as many know by now, you're on the NCAA selection committee. When the field of 64 is announced, you're right there in the trenches wading through it all. So this Aggie baseball team under Rob Childress, do they have the look and feel of a national seed to you?
Well, I will certainly say that they have positioned themselves extremely well. And the tough challenge is you want to be one of the top 8 seeds. National seeds, and if you are that, then you have a 68% chance of being in the College World Series, which is what we all want to do. And then the tough part also on top of that is a top 16 and then a top 64. I tip my hat to Rob and to the baseball team and to the staff. They've really done a marvelous job and really taken into consideration the injuries that we've gotten. People in the baseball circles are just absolutely blown away when we lost our Friday night starter and our Saturday night starter, and we're still able to compete on the level that we've been competing. That speaks volumes. And so the job that the baseball team has done, we have really positioned ourselves well. Unfortunately, when you're on the committee, the selection committee, when your team is talked about, you have to leave. So, you know, the body of work that they've done, I don't really have to do much talking for what Rob and the baseball team has done this year. But I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to going up to Indianapolis and picking the teams. And the baseball committee they try to do the best job they possibly can. They're very committed to get the top 64 teams. And last year, you know, you look back, every year we review what took place, where we missed them and where we didn't, and we're going to make some mistakes. But quite frankly, A&M has really positioned ourselves extremely well for the season's not over yet. We've still got a few more games, but if we take care of business, I think we're going to be real excited where we're going to end up.
If we look ahead down the road, football season, there's going to be excitement right away because there's the opener in Houston against Arizona State. That's not a get your feet wet kind of first game. And then right after that, September 12th is the unveiling of the new Kyle Field when Ball State visits the Aggies. Just your outlook on what Kevin Sumlin has built and going into the 2015 season.
Well, one thing I will say, and I've talked to our new assistant coaches, and I'm extremely impressed with them. And I think he really has enhanced our staff and our football program. So with that, and I think in talking with some of the players, the confidence they have in Coach Chavis, and obviously his proven track record what he's accomplished at LSU and what he accomplished at Tennessee speaks volumes. And so with that kind of excitement that going into the season, it's something that it just takes time to be able to get where you want to get from a competitive standpoint. And this league doesn't make it any easier. And I think that from across the board, I've been out to watch spring practice about 3 or 4 times. And our teams, I mean, we've got a very good football team, there's no question about it. The challenge and to get to really where you can make a difference is to have that depth, that quality SEC depth. And I don't know that across the board we're there yet, but we're headed in the right direction. We continue to do that. We'll position ourselves to be competitive at the top. And as you well know, if you can compete at the top of this league, then you're right there in the national prominently picture as far as what, how well we can do in the future.
Also want to look back at something we saw in Aggieland on Monday night. It was the BCAs. It's called the Building Champions Awards here in College Station. This is a chance to honor student athletes who have put in the work and done so well in the field of play, but also off of it. It's kind of Oscar night in Aggieland, isn't it?
It is, and it's what we've worked toward for the end of the year, and to have it's sort of the pinnacle of our competitive year and our academic year. And what we try to do is recognize the best and the brightest. And from a competitive standpoint, from an academic standpoint, we have the President's Award, which is the most honor, the award that we give to a student athlete that really recognizes the best of the best. From a competitive standpoint, in the classroom and community service, is our top leaders. And it's a night to recognize them. It's a night to recognize what we call the Maroon Award. It's to an individual. We gave it to Artie McFerrin last year. It's somebody that's gone above and beyond the call of duty to support our program and all of our student athletes, and allows us to be competitive on the level that we've been competitive. And so we want to recognize these unsung heroes, these people behind the scenes. In addition to that, we recognize people that have been honored for the community service, the teams for the community service, all the way across the board. And our student athletes get dressed up. It's like the ESPYs. And we have the red carpet, we have interviewing, and our SAC, which is our Student Advisory Committee, they're the ones that really are spearhead this, and they're the ones that really do an awful lot of organizing for this. So we tip our hats. It puts them in a leadership position. It puts them in a position to pull something like this, of this magnitude off. And last year they did an absolutely seamless job. We're very proud of them, and it's the culmination of a lot of hard work, like you'd said. It's 630 some student athletes coming together, our coaches, and some dignitaries from within the university.
Well, certainly an exciting time of year, and we thank you for joining us during it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
That is Eric Hyman, our Director of Athletics, right here on The Beat. Back in a moment. We thank all of you for joining us this spring on The Beat, and make sure you're with us this fall when the Pulse returns to cover Aggie football. So long, everybody.